Hey everyone, this is Theo from parkerblocks.com. Today I want to show you the Ecoline liquid watercolors. I have with me the brush pens and also the bottle inks. These are the two Ecoline products that I have bought. I have a set of 5 brush pens and I have a set of 8 bottled inks. So let's take a look at the brush pens first. The brush pens can be bought individually or as a set. The inks used in the brush pens, they are dye-based. So what that means is they are not light fast, so when exposed to light over a long period of time, the colors may fade. This is not so much of a problem if you use these brush pens to color your artwork, which are inside a sketchbook. But if you are going to use the brush pens to create display art, then those artworks, their colors, they may fade over time. The light fast quality of the inks is something to take note of when you are using Ecoline products to color your artworks. So these are the 5 colors that I have in the set: sky blue cyan, green, magenta, lemon yellow, and black. The design of the markers is such that they roll around very easily, so they can roll off the table accidentally. Be careful about that. The cap can be posted at the back, and if you want to, you can remove the top here as well. Just unscrew this and you have access to the opening, and you can refill the brush pen with Ecoline inks. This is how the sponge brush tip looks like up close. And these are the bottled Ecoline inks. There is a total of 46 transparent colors and 2 opaque colors. The 2 opaque colors are white and gold. So we have more colors for the bottle inks compared to the 29 colors for the brush pens. You can also buy the bottles individually or as a set. These are the 8 colors I have in this set: ultramarine, sky blue cyan, lemon yellow, burnt sienna, magenta, vermilion, deep green, and black. Since the inks are in bottles like this, I need some way to extract them without contaminating the inks. So there is no eyedropper included. I have to buy eyedroppers separately. This is to extract the inks easily rather than using my watercolor brush inside, which may contaminate the colors. And because the inks are in bottles like this, these are not as convenient compared to the brush pens when using outdoors. I think these products are best suited for use indoors. I have prepared some sketches to color with the Ecoline inks. This was drawn in a Leda Art Supply sketchbook. The paper is very smooth, 160 GSM, it's off-white. And I have also a sketch here on this watercolor paper, which is cold pressed, 200 GSM. So let's start by using the brush pens first to create some color swatches. You can see my tip is a bit dirty, it's a bit contaminated. The ink that I have used for the lines, it's from the Uniball Signal Gel Stick. It's pigment ink, so it's supposed to be waterproof. And in this case, it seems that it can resist the dye-based ink quite well. Next we have sky blue. The ink flow is quite good for these markers. And this is magenta. I was able to color this area really flat and even. And lastly, we have green. The yellow is not as strong and vibrant as I hoped. Anyway, we have yellow, cyan, and magenta. We have these 3 colors from the CMY color system. So in theory, you can mix all other colors with these 3 primary colors. Let's see what will happen when we overlap the 3 primary colors. This looks like a red to me. Now that this is dry, let's take a closer look. So we have a red instead of orange when we mix magenta and yellow. And we have a green with yellow and cyan. This is supposed to be purple, but it's a bit too dark for me to see the purple. Maybe I need to lighten the colors by adding some water. And here in the center, it's supposed to be a black. And notice that some of the paper fiber, it actually came off. So as I was applying the paint on the paper like this, some of the paper fiber actually came off the surface. So be careful when you are layering additional colors on top of colors that you already have on the paper. Ecoline also sells a blender pen, but I do not have that. Anyway, I'm going to use the brush pens to color half of this sketch. For this half, I'm going to use the bottle inks. Let's see if the brush tip is good at writing. You can get a very nice gradation when you press down a bit harder. And when you press down a bit harder, more ink will come out. For some colors, you can see the gradations a bit more clearly, and this is pretty nice for calligraphy work. And now let's create some color swatches for the colored inks. This is lemon yellow once again, and it does seem that this color, it looks exactly the same as the one from the brush pen. In terms of the hue, the value, and the saturation, these are how the 8 colors look like, and they are all incredibly vibrant. I've also used some of the colors to color the sketches. I made a mistake here. You have to be very careful when you use liquid watercolor, because if you have mistakes like this where the colors blend together where you do not want them to, it can be very difficult to correct that later on. Notice how flat and even the color application is, and there is no granulation for any of these colors. I'm going to do some color mixing tests on another page, because I can see that some of these colors, they have bled through to the other page. This is the ultramarine and this is vermilion from this page. I used too much ink here and it soaked through the 200 GSM paper. So always be careful when you are testing new art products, especially in a sketchbook, because you do not want whatever that happens on one page to affect the art on the other page, which is what's happened right now. But thankfully it's not too bad. So let me just flip to the back. One of the main challenges for me when it comes to using liquid watercolors is sometimes you just do not know how much ink to prepare in advance. If you prepare too little, you have to go add more inks later on. But if you prepare too much, you may waste the inks. So I have here with me lemon yellow and cyan. Let's see what kind of colors we can create from these two colors. And now let me use ultramarine and burnt sienna. And this is magenta. I'm going to add deep green to this. Let me add some water to dilute it. You also have to be a bit careful when using these inks, because when you get accidental splatters onto the page, it's difficult to remove them because the ink, they dry quite quickly. But these are dye-based inks, so later on when you paint over these dots, they are going to dissolve and mix with your colors, and it's going to affect your artwork. And lastly, let's try some wet on wet. I can see some of these dots, they are dissolving. So I guess you can clean them up by cleaning them, dissolving them with water. Alright, so I'm going to let some of the colors flow down. It's going to be quite interesting. And let's have blue. A bit more of that. Let's have ultramarine. And let's have burnt sienna on ultramarine. Let's have a little bit of vermilion mixed with some deep green. So this is how the color swatches look like when they are dry. So on this side we have lemon yellow and sky blue cyan mixed together to produce a yellow green. Here we have ultramarine with burnt sienna added, and here it's burnt sienna with ultramarine added. Now when the wash was still wet, when I added the colors, I sort of saw some green color, but when it dried, it dries to a nice gray tone. And this is ultramarine with water added. I tried to create a gradated wash here, and this is how it looks like. There's something wrong with this paper at this spot because it repels water. And here we have magenta and deep green. I mixed those two together to get some sort of neutral tone, but it's a bit difficult for me to get that. And here I tried some wet on wet techniques. So earlier on while I was painting, I saw quite a few dots, like those particles or dots. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if it's because of the paper or the inks, but most likely it could be the paper. So the dots, they are still there. And this is how the colors look like when it's applied wet on wet. So this is ultramarine, burnt sienna, we have vermilion, and deep green at the bottom. I replicated this wash on another sheet of watercolor paper, and it looks fine here. So the problem with the dots is probably paper related. This paper is 200 GSM, so it's quite thin. I do see quite a lot of bleeding through, and with this 300 GSM paper, it's fine. These inks, they are water soluble, so even though they look dry now, unlike watercolor, when you add water onto them, you can still activate the ink. So this is not permanent. And I accidentally dropped one drop of water here, so let me just dry this and see what happens. So you can lift out the colors rather easily, but there are some pattern marks there. So the choice of paper that you use is definitely very important. You can get some cool water soluble effects if you want to, but you do have to practice because they behave a bit unpredictably. Let me just clean this up. I'm not sure if you can see some yellow within the black. That is most likely the dye-based ink breaking up. Overall, the Ecoline inks and brush pens, they are pretty fun to use. The colors are very vibrant, very strong. The yellow could be stronger though. Anyway, there are a lot of colors that you can choose from. It seems like those sets that are sold, they usually come with the three primary colors: lemon yellow, sky blue, and magenta. So you can use those colors to mix other colors. But how good the mixing will be will depend on how you use them and also the paper. So on this paper, it's a bit difficult to use because I think it absorbs the ink rather quickly. And if you want to blend the colors, it might be better to get the blender and work on paper that does not absorb ink that fast. You can certainly get some watercolor-like effects like gradations. You can create some wet on wet. However, there are some limitations. First of all, the colors, they do not have textures like some granulating watercolor paints. They always look pretty flat. And of course, they are not permanent when dry, and the light fast quality is questionable because these are dye-based inks. If you are going to be using the colors for casual coloring or to practice calligraphy or for use in sketchbooks like this, I think it's fine. If you want to create artworks that is archival, you want the colors to last, then this would be questionable. Alright, so that's all for my review today. I hope this is helpful. If you also use Ecoline inks, I would love to hear your opinions about them. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Bye!